The following podcast does contain some mature language. More importantly, it can and will contain spoilers for portions of the main scenario questline and possibly content released in patch 6.1. You have been warned. On with the show. From the many realms of Aetheris to the distant reaches of the 1st and the 13th via the magic of podcasting, this is episode 16 of A Podcast Reborn, the show celebrating our journey in the past, present, and possible future of Final Fantasy XIV. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, June 19th of 2022. My name is Brian Black, otherwise known as Ro, and bear with me as my voice may not be entirely back. The road to full recovery is proving to be quite the process, but at least I have a voice this week. With me, as always, are my two wonderful co-hosts. First off, there's our resident Chaos Gremlin developing the next young adult werewolf TV drama for the CW using inspiration for both Fire Emblem Three Houses and Sims 4. Hi, Meagan.
Hi. They're a gang of teenage runaway werewolves, and only one of them is the werewolf, and it's a secret. Soon it will be more.
Board game called Secret Werewolf.
Yeah, actually. The Sims 4 just came out with a werewolf expansion, so that's actually what I've been mostly doing, but also playing Fire Emblem Three Houses a lot. But also I did do Tataru's Grand Adventure because she is my daughter.
Of course, with her, as always, is a man who prompts me to ask the question, are dad jokes even mildly effective when they're recorded on Father's Day? Hi, Brandon.
Hi, how's it going? So guys, I know you all saw Yoshi P's recent comments about how, for the future, he's going to need to come up with jobs not based on the classic Final Fantasy jobs. So to help him out, I took a stab at creating one, and I came up with one. It's called the Ship Wizard. They started out as an order of mages that manipulate the weather for Lominsan ships at sea, but what comes to make it different is the story of when one of these mages ran out of internal magic and beat back a pirate invasion with the paddles from a lifeboat. Well, that story got around, and boom, a new tradition is born. So, as I envision it, a playable job, ship wizards, they use those same paddles as a weapon, and they're kind of like red mages, but rather than being a builder at range and a spender in melee, they kind of have the flexibility to be in range or melee whenever they need to. It's kind of an either-or situation.
Oh my god.
Oh,
see, I thought
wow.
you were going to do, like, ships, like, you ship characters.
When you said Ship Wizard, I thought this was going to very different places.
Got to keep you on your toes. That's why I make them longer and longer.
Either or. Gotcha. Either or. All right. Well, that answers my question about Father's Day dad jokes. Moving on. So again, big apologies for my voice sounding like I'm like going through puberty once more. It is what it is, but I swear I'm feeling better than I sound. I have been playing quite a bit of Final Fantasy XIV. I've been enjoying 6.15 content, and I guess I kind of want to start there because I just kind of want to toss that out to the two of you, and we'll just see where it takes us from here. Both Omega Beyond the Rift and Tataru's Grand Endeavor were entirely different stories than I thought either of them would be.
Well, I didn't do the Omega one yet because it requires you to have unlocked the, it's not heroic. The harder version of the dungeon, and I haven't done that on my RP main yet.
Okay.
And I was literally doing this at like 3 a.m. last night, and I'm like, oh my god, I only have machinist. I'm not going to sit through the queue to try to do this on heroic. And I could have gone and done it on my rating main, but I realized I didn't care that much about Omega. So instead, I went and did Tataru's Grand Adventure, which was a ton of fun. And I would just like to say, Pippin is pimpin'.
I have to wonder if we're getting hints of future relationship goals between him and Tataru.
It's like a Lalafell love triangle or like a Lalafell quadrangle. I don't know, because like Nanamo and Pippin have a thing going on, and then Wedge has a crush on Tataru, and I'm like, Wedge, you gotta make your move because Pippin is like good lord, he's so much better than you. Jesus Christ.
Have you seen his sword?
Have you seen
Come on now.
his little mini skirt and he goes around topless? Come on. And he's got like the Fabio hair, and he is like rich and powerful, and he like gave her a fancy ass necklace with like sentimental value. Come on. That is so romantic.
I still maintain that we are only seeing the beginnings of the possible future with this. And I still hold out that when it's time for the Relic questline to come out there, we're getting Tataru centered around that.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. I'm the way this is being played off. It wouldn't surprise me if some of this is like linked to that for sure. Especially when, they talked about how like portions of this quest would be tied to like certain stories or content from other places. So it's kind of making me wonder, are they going to find some sort of meta relic grind thing where they don't necessarily make a new relic grinding area, but perhaps getting this gear or weapons or stuff like that requires doing some of bits of all of the content, like a little bit of Eureka, a little bit of Bajin, a little bit of other stuff too.
I hope not.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it will have multiple ways to progress a relic, kind of like how Shadowbringers' relic weapon was. I mean, they had, you could farm it in certain areas of Baja, or you could do this particular dungeon or raid. I'm guessing they're going to stick to that model just because of how wildly popular it was in Shadowbringers.
Yeah, plus they can bring attention to old content, and they really like doing that.
Yeah, so, I mean, wherever they end up going with this, it's going to... I imagine we're going to have multiple ways to farm it, so I'm very interested to see where they go with this.
Okay, so Meagan, since you haven't done Omega, my question I have for you is, would you like Brandon and I to table discussion of that for next episode?
If it's okay, if we have enough other stuff to talk about. I screwed up my back this week. Also, we only had 1 week in between recordings. We usually have 2. And I was laid up in bed with the Switch playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I'm up.
It's fine.
I'm up through the time skip now. Well, I literally... Okay, so I have this problem where I hyperfixate on something, and then I just forget that I have a meat sack and exist in the mortal plane. So I ended up playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses for like 8 hours at a stretch, forgetting to eat, forgetting to do other stuff. Yeah. So I can say I recommend it. It's a fun game. It has a very addictive gaming loop. I love dating sims / relationships, and it's like fully voice acted. So, super crack there. And it's like the strategy elements are like really addictive, and it's always like, oh, you gotta it's like you have like a monthly schedule, and it's like you gotta set up what you're gonna do each week to like train your dudes, and very addictive gaming loop. That's the other thing. I have a real problem with addictive gaming loops.
Certainly sounds like
Persona 5 would like a piece of your time.
Oh no.
And I'm telling you right now, if you ever get bored and you pick up Persona 5 Royal, especially, it's going to become available for PC later this year.
I've been eyeing that when I saw it was coming out for PC. Now I'm a little worried, but
it's addictive gaming loops and dating. Oh man,
yeah.
You're in trouble. I mean, you're going to have fun, but you're in trouble. And let me tell you, I mean, one thing that Persona is really one thing that's big about Persona, of course, waifu wars and husbando wars are to the extreme there. Persona 5 takes it to another level.
I will say, I think I picked the best house for husbandos, which was, I picked the House of Blue Lions, which...
I saw the picture on Twitter.
Yeah, if you don't play it, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's got like the handsome prince boy, the like cute soft boy, the like slutty fuck boy, and like the tall, dark, and handsome and brooding guy. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's also basically got Meryl and Millie from Try Again, which, if you don't get that reference, I don't know if we could be friends. But
I have some bad news.
oh no! Okay, okay. A big booby kind older sister mom friend and like a small nerdy overachiever friend, and then there's Ingrid, who is like she's very basic, but she's cool. She's got like nobility problems, I guess. That's the other thing, is that like all these kids are like fancy noble kids, so they're all whining about, oh, my crest means that I don't know if anybody loves me for me. I'm like, okay, cool.
We would like to announce that Podcast Reborn will be transitioning to a Fire Emblem Three Houses podcast from here on out.
If you guys start playing it, yeah, then we can have
I own the game. I just haven't ever fired it up. So
my god. Okay, hold on.
I want you to go ahead.
I will give you the same advice that Ward gave me before I started up, because I don't really want to spoil anything. Don't pick the Black Eagles, because they're he calls them the schmazzies. It's like, I just don't want you to be like 20 hours into a game and have you be putting on an SS uniform and going, oh no, are we the baddies?
Hey, Meagan. Hey, Meagan.
Yeah.
Edelgard did nothing wrong.
Well, I honestly don't think Edelgard really did anything wrong so far.
I've never played the game, but I have watched a crap ton of videos of it on YouTube, just because I never knew if I would actually purchase the game myself, because I didn't have the time to play through it. And then a friend offered it to me at a heavily discounted price. So I'm like, yeah, why not? The thing about that game is that the story of like what the houses actually do changes depending on which one you pick. So sure, yeah. Black Eagle goes full on crazy, domineering Nazi, almost like, empire. But if you pick them, they're way less overtly evil. It's very strange.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I don't think that Edelgard is overtly evil, and I'm literally on her opposite side. I think that they had to make it an actual choice. They had to make the other side kind of lose their shit a little and make Edelgard seem kind of reasonable.
Yeah,
to some degree at least.
And they do the exact same thing with the Blue Lions. If you pick the Black Eagles, they basically make them go kind of full theocratic, cult empire almost.
Oh yeah. Well, like, I'm very distrustworthy of the freaking church, but like, I don't know. So I don't want to spoil it, because I didn't know anything about what I was getting into when I started it up, and I think that's kind of the best way to go into it. But I do really like the fact that like the main character being a blank slate is like part of the lore.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I don't know, I really like all the character dynamics with each other and with me, and like, you get to have tea parties. That's the other thing. Is that I do not look up any like battle strategies. I have no idea if any of my builds for fighting are any good, but you better believe I'm like 10 pages deep in tea party wikis.
Hey, just to bring it back to what this podcast is actually supposed to be about.
Sorry.
Speaking of tea parties, though, how about that Emelian's Levy or custom delivery quests?
Oh, I don't have anything to eat yet.
Oh my gosh.
I've been trying, okay? I spent like all day in the friggin' firmament, and I only got...
Those were easy to catch up on. I mean, I do quick gathering things. It's just you gather collectibles in Endwalker, easy peasy.
Yeah, what I'm powering through the firmament, and I got my miner and my botanist up to 50, like in the, oh god, what is it called? Diadem. And so then I have like a shit ton of materials, and so I think I've got carpenter and weaver up to 50, and goldsmith and leatherworker in the 30s. But it's literally like I have so many materials that like sitting and crafting just takes hours, and I'm like, ugh. But I do get a lot of Moogle prizes, so that's nice. But yeah. So I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. God damn it. I'm trying.
Oh, no.
I'm still wondering if we're actually going to be able to transmog Emelians or if it's going to be that other character.
I'm pretty sure they already clarified that you would be able to do that to Emelians.
Okay.
There's only two characters you can't change their uniform on. One of them is the first one, Zoe Aleapo, because we do not lewd the Aleapo sisters. You just don't do it.
Oh,
and for some odd reason, they don't let you transform Monago. I don't know why.
Aleapo.
Huh?
Sorry. It's Aleapo, I thought.
I don't think they've ever actually clarified how to pronounce it,
Well,
have they?
but I don't think it has a T in it. It confused me when you said it. I was like, what? And then I'm like, oh, right. The babies.
Aleapo. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't think they've ever clarified. That's just what I go with. Sorry.
It's fine. My brain was like, I don't know this word. I was like, no, I know everything Final Fantasy.
I had to remind you that we've never actually met Ida.
That is true.
That happened like before the game
that happened
started.
like 5 episodes ago.
Meanwhile, in Final Fantasy 1.0.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like that was ages ago. Jeez,
Oh,
I mean, like in lore wise, I like. Oh, what was that? That was like the beginning of Stormblood when we found out what was going on?
It was
right
it was
before
the lead up quest of Stormblood.
Yeah, the final patch before Stormblood was where Lise revealed that it had been her the whole time.
And then she became an entirely different character, and people didn't like it for half an expansion.
Well, I just think it was weird that she became so different. Like, I thought that it had been Ida for at least a little bit, so that made more sense to me of like, oh, she had to pretend to be like Ida to fit in, or to like see. What I thought had happened was that Ida had died during the the bloody banquet thing, where like everybody was getting murked, but then not really. Only one permadeath from that situation.
Yep.
But I thought that like that's what had happened, or like it had happened like after that, when like everybody was all separated from each other, and like she had died like defending something, because she at least said like she died fighting in Alamigo defending someone. I'm like, oh, okay. That's like, I don't know why my brain was like, oh, that must have been during that period when we were all separated, and I thought everybody was dead. And like,
man, I just had a crazy thought when you said that there was only one actual fatality from that. It's like my brain went into this place. What if right near the end of Tataru's Grand Endeavor we find out Adeleji never died?
No, we saw that kid get bisected, for fuck's sake. That was like, I think, possibly the greatest cutscene in Realm Reborn. I think that like that whole thing was such a great like, oh my god moment. Yeah. It's kind of too bad that
fuck with Ralbon Alden.
It's kind of too bad that like it didn't really like nothing, like we didn't have to like reprove ourselves that hard, you know? And like, not that I wanted Nanamo to actually be dead or anything, but like the fact that it was kind of literally all oh god, what's his name? Lolorito's doing, who he was just kind of setting up Teleji to get murked and taken over. And then he just kind of was like, yeah, we're cool, and like let us come back, and like woke up Nanamo and like got Raobound out of jail, and we're just like, oh, I had no effect on this whatsoever. And then we have to work with that guy later. I'm like, I don't know. It felt like it's like, yeah, it was the reason why we had to go to Ishgard, because we're like outcasts in Eorzean society now. But like, I don't know. I also think it's funny that they're like, yeah, none of the small folk believed it. They were like, no, come on.
It's kind of interesting when you think about it from that perspective, because if it wasn't for Lolorito, the Dragon Song War may have not ended.
Please don't ever let him know that. We'll never hear the friggin' end of it.
I'll just show up with a bill, slap it on Emmerich's desk.
Bad enough we had to rely on his little frickin' minion and Stormblood once we got to Kugane.
What I think is so funny about Hancock is that he's never really done anything wrong, but he's just so fucking untrustworthy. You see him, and you're like, this fucking guy, and he never does anything wrong, but you're just like, I don't know about that.
He's like, always shifty and untrustworthy, but he does it on our behalf, so we can't get mad at him.
I know.
There's like one quest in the frickin' Stormblood Alliance Raid series when we have to procure a super rare bottle of wine, and we basically enlist his help to trick frickin' Gegaruju into accepting a piece of crap wine to get him to give us a good one.
Yep.
I'm like, this is not morally okay, but I don't want to do this damn quest anymore, so I can't really get mad at you.
I feel like that meme where like I'm holding Tataru's hand and I'm like, no, Tataru, don't look. And she's like, it's too late. I've seen everything.
That's why she's gone so crazy confident into blackmailing pirates and willing to challenge Lolorito in a new mercantile endeavor.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I learned it from watching you. Well, your assistant, but you basically.
So, I mean, clearly Tataru is looking to become the next Jeff Bezos, right?
No, because she actually makes the things she sells.
Oh, fair point.
I think she's willing to become the next Rowena. Come on.
Yeah, that's fair. Although Rowena, hilariously, she like takes the tomestones from us, gives us like semi-crappy gear, and then like resells the tomestones to rich people as collectibles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, speaking of
also, why
Rowena,
are you calling them crappy?
They're good at the time, but they don't last.
Well, sure, but I mean, at that moment, it's like, okay, hey, great. Nothing in this game lasts. What the heck are you talking about?
I don't want to go into too much detail on it because you haven't like played it out yet, but there is a Rowena appearance in stuff tied to Emeliance, and it's interesting.
Well,
remember that Tea Party reference I made? Yeah, she shows up to that.
Girl boss.
Yeah.
Boss babes. It's not an MLM meeting, is it?
Nope. Do you want me to spoil it, or do you want me to shut up until next episode?
Well, the problem with the deliveries is it's going to take me a while to get crafting to level 80, and I am trying really hard. It just takes a while.
I mean, you can do them with gathering too.
But I like it took me all day to get to 50. And then the XP is like now slowed down to a crawl, and I'm like, But if I just do with crafting, then I don't get my Moogle tickets.
She's obsessed with Moogle tickets.
I've noticed.
Look, this is why I'm not allowed to play gacha games.
I was kind of wondering about that. Like, are you allowed to touch games with gacha or other loot box mechanics?
No.
Can you imagine if you gave her Genshin Impact?
I was going to make a Diablo Immortal joke, but yeah, that too.
Well, Diablo Immortal doesn't have waifus, so.
No, that's exactly why I said Genshin Impact.
Yeah, Genshin Impact has waifus.
Good point. I didn't think about the whole waifu angle.
Like if I was playing Fire Emblem and they were like, "Hey, you want this cool looking waifu? $10," I'd be like,
Oh my gosh!
I had a really hard time. Like Dragon Age had friggin' DLC, and I bought it all.
All I want to say, kind of going back about 15 minutes to, we're not going to talk about Omega much at all because spoilers and stuff, and I'll give you till next week.
Apparently, we're also not going to talk about Emeliance either.
Right.
Go ahead and talk about Emeliance.
It's fine. It's fine. But I will say, Omega did it. The Omega questline did not talk about anything I thought it was going to talk about, and yet I will say probably one of the best quest lines in Endwalker. Like, it kind of came out of right field. Like, it was nothing like I expected it was going to be, but I will simply say, if you have not done Omega Beyond the Rift, if you have not unlocked the requirements to do it, if you enjoyed the main scenario questline of Endwalker, you are doing yourself a disservice by not doing the Omega stuff.
The Omega stuff's fun, man.
So I know you just have to do Omega in normal mode, like the entirety of the raid, because otherwise that quest line would make no sense if you hadn't done that. But are there other requirements that that I don't know about?
So I'm going to assume now that it's about like Alpha and little baby Omega.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Because I love those guys.
Yeah, they both show back up, and then you do stuff alongside them that kind of expands on the themes and stuff involved in the quest line with the Omega raid.
Okay. Because that was a fun raid. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, good times. But I mean, it went to places and involved characters I did not expect it to involve, and it
absolutely does.
It reminded me of things I did not expect or necessarily wanted to be reminded of. But a couple Kleenex later, and I was good.
Yeah, right. Well, I am planning to do it. I gotta do the dungeon on hard mode, expert mode.
Which dungeon are you saying needs to be done on expert mode?
I looked up the quest because I couldn't find the starter quest.
Does it involve doing the twinning?
Yeah. Or no. It's the robot dungeon, the one from the end of Endwalker. Like you need to need to finish that quest. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And since on Tarika, my RP main, I basically just went straight into raiding because one of our lovely RP guildies or free company mates just like passed me an entire set of crafted gear. So I did not need to grind for tomestones or anything like that to be able to get into Savage mode. Oh. Speaking of Savage mode.
How's that going for you?
I've spent like an entire week just trying to get through P1S, and I finally did. But like, good lord, it's like at this point in the tier, like the only parties that don't require duty complete already are like practice. Come learn the fight with us, and I'm just like sitting there while everybody dies to like the first or second mechanics, and. Oh man, I don't have prog in me for this. Not when I already know it.
Basically, a lot of the groups that are working on it now are far more casual minded about it, and a lot more like relaxed about how they're approaching it and such.
Well, no, it's like they've never done it before, so They are literally the way that you prog in Final Fantasy XIV is you work on one mechanic, and then once you get that down, the next mechanic kills you, and so you work on that mechanic, and then the next mechanic kills you, and so you work on that mechanic, and so when you already know all the mechanics, try to go back to that again and spent like literally running out the timer on the 2-hour timer on a raid instance, just dying repeatedly is very frustrating. But it's only going to get worse from here.
I guess it's analogous to me trying to teach people the Zodiac fight back at the beginning of Endwalker after I did it a few times, and I ended up being the person to call, okay, follow me, you go here, then you go here.
Yeah, well, it's a fun way to do it when you have like a static group, and and it's a good way to, when you're pugging, like you could be like, we're working on this mechanic. Like, if you know up to this mechanic, then come join us, or like if you're working on this mechanic also, come join us. And it's cool. It's fun. I like it. I'm just like I really wish that I could just bring my duty completion over from my main and be like, yeah.
Oh, that's not an account-wide thing. I didn't think about that.
No, it is not. Also, I am having a lot of fun doing Machinist now that I've figured it out more. But it is a lot looser than I'm used to. Which is good because, oh my god, Bard can be really stressful if you screw up your what do you call it, burst, like your window, when you got to hit everything exactly right, you got to do everything at the on tempo and all this shit and OGCDs but not too many. But yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, I can tell that I'm not doing super great damage. Like, I'm generally hanging out like around 3rd to 5th on the threat board, and I'm like, I want to be do good. But yeah, Ward's RP character is Summoner, and so I didn't do Summoner.
What about you, Brandon? What have you been up to?
I mean, aside from doing, all the side contents that, came with patch 6.15, and I did Omega, I'm, turning in 6 deliveries to Emelians every week. And aside from that, I'm basically taking advantage of the Arca Sidara tribe quests. I've done them every day ever since they came out. I did the whole double day one trick where you complete them as soon as the servers are up, and then do it again once the actual daily reset happens.
Right.
So
yeah, that's the other thing I really need to unlock.
Oh, you haven't unlocked them at all?
No.
Oh, Meagan.
Look.
I know. You had waifus to unlock.
I'm really slow with dailies, and I'm actually, you'll notice this about me. I'm very slow with like new patch content generally, unless it's a rating. Rating is like the only thing that I'm really like, gotta do it now. But I really got to do it on my RP character because she's Thavnarian. So, like, you get like Ward's been telling me about all like, oh, you gotta come do this because look what you can get for a character, and I'm like, ooh. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun. I've been making more progress on leveling alt jobs on all my different characters, just because I have something that's different to do that makes like really good progress for very little time investment, other than sitting in the duty roulette queue for what seems like a really long time at this point. So yeah, I mean, the XP for those is as good as the Pixies were.
Question: is this the first beast tribe to offer materia on the vendor?
I don't know the answer to that because I really never picked materia off of the vendor before, but I don't think so, but I might be wrong about that.
I mean, it just struck me as weird. It's like, wow, you can get tier 10 materia off of the tribe vendor. I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. I need to do that. Oh, want to hear about something dumb I almost did?
Absolutely.
Of course.
So I've had my retainers for a while, and I really wanted to get the retainer jobs, and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't let me, because I had bought the vocational book, and then I like read the thing, and it was like you have to have the job at level 50 to be able to do it, and I'm like, fuck, well, okay. So I'm out there leveling my freaking mining and botany to level 50. It still won't let me. I'm like, oh no. It's saying it can't be a special job. Is machinist a special job? Like, does that mean that like I need to level one of the like base starting jobs to level 50? So I'm like, oh god. I'm like, well, I guess a tank would be the fastest. So I like bought a whole set of like level 1 gear, and I'm like gonna run up to the Marauders Guild, and then I'm running through the limits of Aetherite Plaza, and I see a little plus sign, and it's like a venture quest, and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't unlock venture, guys. Oh Jesus.
So it would have helped if you'd actually unlocked them.
Yes. So at least I didn't like spend like 10 hours leveling Marauder to Warrior and then be like, what the fuck? But
but that would have been so epic if you had.
Yes, it would
have.
I mean, so. I can see you now, contacting customer service. Be like, this thing is bugged. I can't get my retainers. Have you unlocked the quest yet?
Yeah, customer service like, let me ask you a question. Did you unlock ventures? That was a stretch. I apologize.
So they finally have jobs, but yeah, that could have been. I mean, it was already pretty dumb, but like I was gonna level botanist in the miner anyway, so it wasn't that bad. But
let's recap here, shall we, Meagan?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't completed the Omega raids. By the way, you don't have to do the dungeon at the end of Endwalker to unlock those. I just confirmed that at multiple locations.
No, well, because Tarika is a boost, it's already it's done. It marks the
Omega raids as done?
I think so. It's like
I
all
don't
of the
think it does because it's
extra.
optional content.
Oh no, really? Well, fuck. Well, then I'm just gonna go do it on my rating main.
Okay.
Because fuck it. Like,
so you haven't been able to do Omega. You haven't been able to do any of the Ameliant's custom deliveries because you don't have a max level crafter.
Mm-mm.
You refuse to do Hildebrand for some reason.
I've explained this.
I know.
I will re-explain it. It's my threshold for anime nonsense.
And you also have not unlocked the Arca Sadara tribal dailies at all.
No.
So you've done absolutely no patch 6.15 content.
I get Tataru.
She is stretching this out. She is, keeping a lot of content ready so that she has plenty to do between now and the launch of 6.2. It's a bold strategy.
Let's see how it works out for
her.
Yeah. Look, man, I played a lot of Fire Emblem. I have werewolves. I play other games sometimes, guys. I'm sorry, I don't have just the one game.
And even Yoshi P says that he expects people to play other games, so he's just following the teachings of Yoshi P.
I'm pretty sure Yoshi meant like once you finish the current content, don't wander off in the middle. But
I mean, I have no room to talk when I haven't been doing my dailies in Final Fantasy. Between a coworker having started to play this game again and, Kenobi being a thing on Disney Plus, I've actually fired up Star Wars The Old Republic, so...
I've fallen behind on my TV shows. I've fallen behind on my Final Fantasy. I don't know. You ever have a day where you just can't brain? You just want to play something really dumb and
Yes.
So there's this game called 2 Point Hospital. And it's really fun. Okay, so imagine if the people who made Wallace and Gromit made like a hospital simulation game where you run a hospital, but everything's extremely goofy and like the diseases are like you have a pot stuck on your head and the cure is like this giant magnet machine that like rips it off, and it's all like dry British humor and like it's got such a great gameplay loop. But if I have zero brain, I just put that on and I'm like, yeah.
I took 2 days off from Final Fantasy to play the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, so I understand.
I've never played that one.
It's a good one. It's a very there's British humor to a degree, but it's a game that is mostly a walking simulator filled with a lot of gags and memes about games and developing games.
I've seen some Let's Plays. I just I want to outside of Final Fantasy, I play. Yes, it's true. I also play other RPGs and JRPGs, but mostly I play Sims, like colony Sims, management Sims, like cities building Sims, and just regular, the Sims. I play that a lot too. And I don't know what it is about it, but I just really like micromanaging stuff. So I love games like Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, like Timberborn. I remember I was telling you about my beavers. Where you build a beaver colony. Yeah, that's one that I love. And then also like Surviving Mars is one I've gotten really into, where you build a colony on Mars. It's like an itch that Final Fantasy 14 just doesn't scratch of like micromanaging and building and like making all these systems that work together and like helping a little group of derpy pixels survive.
I get it.
Oh, the other one. Oh, God, what is it called? It's like the really famous one. I can't remember. Oh, RimWorld, that's what it is. Where you have your little pawns and they look like little blob people, but with like little heads on them. And it's supposed to be like almost like a single person Dungeons and Dragons, but with sci-fi, where you're like, you gotta like build a colony and like build like defenses and like you get attacked, but it's also supposed to be like story building, like they all have a personality and they interact with each other, and if you don't meet their needs, they have little temper tantrums and like break stuff and like fight with each other. Sorry.
I forgot to mention something about the Totaro quests.
Oh.
A line in the game which just, for some reason, because I'm 12, I guess, made me laugh. When you're going to Gridania to speak to Aran Senna, whatever is the, you know who I'm talking about. And you talk to Mother Mio, and she says, "Go over here." You go over there, and you're just sitting down waiting. And he comes up, and he says, "Might I ask why you're loitering at the gate, hero? And with such an enormous sack?" At that point, I just bust out laughing.
Is it worse that you were like talking to two children right before
exactly. That's like my brain's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that was funny. Especially
like, Koji, did you really have to word it that way?
Koji has no shame whatsoever. This man will reference memes on dead social media platforms if he thinks it'll get a laugh out of someone. One of the Arkasodara tribe dailies is called "Do It for the Vine."
Do It for the Vine. I have indeed done it for the Vine.
I love ancient meme references. I don't care. Like, people are like, "Oh, meme references are lame. It's going to get dated so fast." I'm like, good. Date it.
I want to see
Remind
Koji
me.
dig real deep and pull an "All Your Base Are Belong to Us" meme.
Oh my lord! I'm actually
one of those in 14 somewhere.
I'm shocked if there's not, and I'm like, with all of those hilarious, like, weird quest names with all the alt text from the Omega guys. What are those called? Omnicrons?
The Omnicrons, yeah.
Yeah. It's gotta be.
Oh.
There should be.
I did something that I have not done in literally months in Final Fantasy XIV.
Did you gamble?
No, I played a game of Lord of Verminion.
Because,
oh my gosh, the amount of MGP that you get from playing one game.
I've only ever played like one game.
I played just enough games to do the challenge log to get the maximum amount of MGP from that, and then I'm like, nope, this game sucks.
Yeah, I did terribly, but it was an efficient and fast way to get a lot of MGP by losing quick.
Oh man.
So that was the thing. The Make It Rain campaign has been I accumulated like maybe 300,000 MGP over the course of this thing.
I haven't done the Make It Rain quests either.
Oh, you better hurry up. They're going away soon.
Like you literally have 24 hours.
Shit. Well, that's what I'm doing after we hang up. But oh lord.
It won't take long. It'll take like half an hour to do, if that.
The only thing that I do outside, like in the actually, I played a lot of card games on my raiding main. I don't even know why I did it. I never really enjoyed it that much.
Try it is great.
I like it. I don't like it when they get into all the weird ass rules because my brain is too dumb and I'm always getting wombo comboed, and I'm like, what?
Way to play it? The best way to play it is playing it against friends is to play it with random, so that it just picks randomly from cards in your collection, which means you may get a whole bunch of 1-star pieces of shit. You may get 2 4-star cards, whatever. It's just that way there's like less pressure on the strategy. It's like, just throw some cards up. Let's see who does better. And sometimes I have had a couple games where I had like 4 1-star cards and maybe a 3-star card, and I beat someone who had a 5-star and a 4-star and stuff. And then games like that were pretty cool. But yeah, that way you don't worry about deck building. You just get some cards, have them thrown at you, and play and see what happens.
Yeah, that should be how you gamble on it.
Yeah. Plus, that's how I gamble on it. Is nice. When I play it for guild against people, it's with the random rules.
Yeah, the one thing that I really like in the Gold Saucer is the Chocobo races, and on my main I have bred up, not like to the max, but I've gotten pretty close, and it's just, I don't know, it's always so fun to like try it, like, see what new Chocobo you get when you breed them, and the race mechanics themselves are pretty fun. Like, I also really like Mario Kart back in the day, and it reminds me a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, you just reminded me, I recently changed my normal Chocobo's feathers to Dalamud Red because everything has to be red. And
Nice.
and I used MGP from the Make It Rain campaign to buy the Gambler's Barding for my Chocobo, so now my Chocobo looks pretty freaking styling, if I do say so myself.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, I dyed mine orange because I named Tarika's Chocobo's named Chica after chicken tikka masala. So I always name my Chocobos like after food or something very inappropriate.
With the exception of my main, all of mine are named after nicknames I've given my kids.
Yeah, actually, no, my main one's nickname is Pollito, which is just like little chicken in Spanish.
Yeah.
I saw a Chocobo once named Dinner.
Well, I've named them Nuggets, but definitely on one of my random alts, the worst one I've ever done was I named him Pecker, and I dyed him pink.
Oh.
How did that not get reported to somebody?
No, he pecks, man. It's perfectly innocent.
True.
Don't let me name chickens. That's the I do it in Stardew Valley. I name my chickens horrible things. I do. Don't let me name things, I guess, is the lesson.
Understood.
Except for all my characters have like RP appropriate names. But like anything like to the side, don't let me do it.
Question I have for you two. One of the reasons why we're recording like so soon after the last one is because I wanted to line up the timing so that 2 weeks from today, our next episode we record will be right after a certain live letter that's happening on July 1st. So I know that we're supposed to get info on Island Sanctuary and probably Criterion Dungeons. What stuff are you most interested in hearing about with 6.2, and why is it Island Sanctuaries? Go.
It is Island Sanctuaries because I am hoping that they are going to give everybody a housing plot on the Island Sanctuary, and that is why they have so few private plots.
Oh, you are setting me up so well, Meagan. I appreciate it. Do you know why I appreciate you saying that? Because I need to go over a little bit of math here. This was a survey of just the Diablo server on the Crystal Data Center. And I just want to bring up that as of the recording of this podcast, on Diablos, in Imperium, there are 467 plots for small houses that are unoccupied in wards 1 through 18. Those are the free company wards, by the way. So in Imperium, 7 2/3 out of the 18 wards for free companies still have plots available for sale. Too bad you can't buy them because they're not allowed for private housing. There are 3 smalls that are available in private housing in Imperium. And over in the other towns, Mist, Lavender Beds, Goblet, and Shirgane, all together, there's like about 100 smalls in the free company spaces and 8 smalls in the private spaces. The long and the short of it is, oh my gosh, this housing lottery thing is freaking stupid and broken, and I really hope that in 6.2, along with finding out that Island Sanctuaries are like, oh hey, it's a small for everybody, but why not just say that, hey, in 1 through 18, mediums and larges are definitely free companies, but open up the smalls for private buyers, because it's clear that no free companies want to buy a small house.
It's true.
Yeah, that is very true.
I feel a little bad for having come onto Diablos and immediately gotten a house.
Well, to be fair, it is a small.
It is. It's my flower shop. I've been having a lot of fun. I futz around with it like constantly. Although I did screw up my gardening, so that sucks. I was growing pets. You could plant seeds that grow into pets, and the seeds were really expensive. But then I threw out my back, and I didn't log in for like 4 days, and so they died. So I saw little
Why
like onion knights like slumped over in my garden patch, and I was like, no.
Why didn't your other half log in for you and take care of them?
I don't know why he did not.
Not to throw him under the bus or anything.
I also finally figured out how to like make rainbow flowers. So since it is a flower shop and I'm growing flowers inside, it's hilarious. I thought it was going to be like some crossbreeding, like spreadsheet nonsense, but no, it's literally like you just take like, you want to make rainbow flower, first put red pomace, then blue pomace, then yellow pomace. And I'm like, oh my fucking god. So yeah.
Sounds good. Makes sense.
That's what I'm doing now. And I'm also trying to level, Ward says it's alchemy to make the like flower accessories, like the corsages and stuff. So now I'm leveling alchemy because I like where flowers, they are pretty. And also, well, I need to find like a revenue stream because I'm constantly out of gold because nobody wants to buy any of my coffer shit. Like I do my Google tickets and I get like fancy shit and I put it up on the auction house and I'm like, oh yeah, 300K, this is great. Nobody ever buys it. I'm like, meh.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff may go high, but you have to. You just kind of have to be very patient with that stuff, from what I've heard.
Why doesn't anyone want a hoodie?
I don't know.
Don't you want to look like Sans? Buy my shorts, God damn you! I need more flowers.
Hold on, you're talking about an entirely new revenue stream at that point.
I think the episode title is "Please Buy Meagan Shorts."
Yeah.
I got a casual coffer and I opened it up and I put all the pieces on the auction. It's not the auction house. What is the market board?
Market board.
Oh, look, man, like 10 years of WoW does not leave your brain. Even if you haven't played it in 5 years. Yeah. Please buy my tennis shoes and my shorts and my friggin', what is that? Yeah, it's like a hoodie with a don't you want a cross body fucking fanny pack? It's very stylish. Buy it.
I would, except I already have it.
Everybody already has it.
Why stop at one when you can have two?
I know, right?
I guess I could buy it on one of my alts, but it doesn't look near as good.
I think it's cute on female characters, especially if you don't wear the long shorts and you put like a skirt underneath or like shorter shorts. Short skirt, long jacket, A+ combo.
Can't go wrong with that.
Last thing I want to talk about, and question that is very relevant considering what Meagan has been going through with 6.15 lately.
Or lack thereof.
Right. So the kind of discussion question I wanted to toss out to the two of you, and I feel like this may get a chuckle out of Meagan, is what content do you keep saying you'll do soon and never seem to get around to doing?
Right now? Right now, obviously, it's the Beast Tribe quest. I've actually like ported out to Yalameed. I like just left my character there and been like, all right, when I log back in, I'm gonna do it. And then like I come back in and I'm like, let's go to the firmament.
For me, it is Blue Mage. I keep saying I'm going to do Blue Mage, that I'm going to unlock it and start collecting spells, and yep, still haven't done it.
I have zero interest in Blue Mage. I don't know. I just
So why is it a turnoff for both of you? To me, it seems fun. I think the reason why the idea of it excites me is because I remember playing Blue Mage like classes and stuff in previous Final Fantasies and thought was really cool. But why is it a turnoff for you guys in 14?
If it had like better rewards or like gave me something that I could use outside of being a Blue Mage.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. It's entirely self-contained within itself, and I don't like the idea of a job you can't take into other content.
Yeah, it feels really like pointless. Like
exactly.
You do it and then you're like, okay, like even Hildebrand like gives you emotes and like, you know, stuff. Like
you can only level it to 70 still, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised they didn't raise that to 80.
They probably will eventually, but yeah, for me, it's like it's entirely self-contained within itself. The only rewards that are really worth getting out of it that aren't just for more Blue Mage stuff, you have to do like ridiculously hard challenges for it, like the Morbol mount. Like you basically have to do all the old raids with like minimum eye level, no echo, all Blue Mages to get. And I'm just like, I don't really want to get involved in this cheese fest. It doesn't interest me.
It seems like it's a fun little side thing for people who like to cheese stuff. That's just not my bag, baby.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the gameplay loop of it isn't satisfying enough for me to get involved in the story. So I just I have it at like level 36. I'm like, I don't really want to do this anymore. It's not fun.
I tried it a little when it first came out, and I was like, meh.
How many spells have you unlocked at 36? Do you even remember?
Nah, it's not a whole lot. I think I wandered around grabbing every spell that I could get at that level just to see if it would at some point start getting fun. I tried going in and getting a couple of the dungeon ones because apparently you're supposed to be able to solo the dungeons to pick them up, and it was just not enjoyable. I didn't find it interesting or fun at all, so I kind of gave up on it. It's just one of those things. It's like, this is not for me, and I'm just going to go do something I actually enjoy spending time on.
See, of course, once it came out, Ward had like looked up a whole guide and was like doing the whole thing, and I was like watching him do it, and I was like, yeah, okay, you do that. I'm going to go do something else. It's just, you know, I don't know. I think it's the fact that I need like a reward. I'm very reward motivated.
I mean, the story would be enough of a reward for me if the gameplay loop on its own didn't just suck terribly.
So if it leveled up to max level, but you could only use like a selection of the spells for like a normal version of the Blue Mage, would it then be more appealing to you?
Honestly, if they designed it to be more like a actual quote unquote real job in the game, and, you know, just had it, because to me, it's like they decided to preserve the mechanic of Blue Mage where you have to go learn the spells at the expense of, you know, basically like, oh, well, we can't balance this to work like a, you know, a quote unquote real job and give it an actual role, or, you know, even give it multiple roles like it's supposedly capable of pulling off. And I just look at it and go, okay, but you also took other spells and kind of violated the, like, you know, the mechanics of it in favor of keeping the flavor of it. Like, you know, the whole idea with Red Mage is that you're not supposed to be able to learn the quote unquote highest level spells. And yet Red Mage in 14 is capable of, you know, competing more or less with the other caster DPS.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like we got the flavor of it, even if we didn't necessarily get the quote unquote mechanics right. I think they did Blue Mage a disservice by saying, we're going to make this entirely side content because everyone loves the mechanics of it. But at the same time, you know, we're just going to not allow it to be in main story content. I think they could have basically preserved the flavor of Blue Mage by saying, okay, you're going to unlock these spells. The job quest will quote unquote have you, you know, go learn them by getting hit by them or whatever. And at the same time, it's like, all right, you've got the flavor of, you know, what it is to be a Blue Mage, but you can still run it like a main story job.
I think that I like that they did it the way that they did it, because I think it's cool to have a variety of stuff you can do, and not everything has to be what I want to do.
Sure.
I think that it's fun, and they got to experiment. They got to do something crazy, and I always think that's good, especially in like an MMO where like the pressure is always to like make it as popular with as many players as you can. I kind of like that Final Fantasy does this other tact of like, yeah, this is weird side content. You could do it if you want it. We had fun making it.
Kind of like how there's some people who really have a thing for soloing Palace of the Dead and on high. And for other people, it's like, I'll pass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like, you know, you could even say like Crafting and Gathering have their own systems and stuff and housing and all of these little
relic grinding.
Yeah, relic grinding. all of these little side holes to fall down. And like you can always feel like they always feel like someone's passion project. If that makes sense, which I love it. Even if I'm like, this is not my bag, I can feel that like someone was really like, I want to do Blue Mage the way that Blue Mage used to be, and like I want to make it something completely different from anything else. And like they were really into it, and they went for it, and like, man, they did it. I'm not interested, but they sure did it. Good job.
I could definitely see that perspective, but at the same time, I'm like, I can also see the perspective of what could have been, what they could have done if they just applied a bit more creativity to how Blue Mage could have been implemented as a quote unquote real job. I hate to keep using that term, but it's honestly how I feel. So it's like, yeah, we could have had a fourth really fun, really wacky, caster DPS, to take through the quote unquote, real game content, if you want to, however you want to define that. So I'm like, yeah, the Blue Mage is an interesting side grind that, preserves the mechanics behind how Blue Mage and, enemy skill materia or whatever you want to call it used to work. But it's at the same time, it's like, you could have done it this way and I would have been able to enjoy it a lot more. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm like, shine on, you crazy diamond.
Yeah.
You do you. Don't, like,
well, hey, go ahead.
Just like I feel like whenever somebody comes to Yoshi P with like a crazy ass idea, he's like, interesting, go for it. And they're like, yes.
Well, even if we can't play Blue Mages, I'm sure at some point when they're running out of ideas for playable main classes, we'll get to play mimics. So that'll work for me.
Oh yeah, I do wonder what we're gonna get for new classes going forward. I mean, maybe if we end up going to the new world, maybe we'll get like the proper version of Blue Mage.
See, you even called it proper.
Yeah, this is like some guy who like went there for his like gap year and came back.
I think it's, if we're going to get anything, I mean, they've said they're going to go like outside of traditional Final Fantasy classes, right? That being said, I feel like Mercidia is a prime opportunity to try to introduce the Beastmaster quests. Like if you think of Gao from Final Fantasy VI.
We've seen Beastmasters like in Boja and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think a Beastmaster quest could be pretty interesting.
I love pet classes like so much. That's one thing I really miss from World of Warcraft, is being a hunter with like actual pets, like tameable pets, exchangeable pets. I love my Carbuncle, don't get me wrong. He's fucking adorable. I even love that he like doesn't really do anything anymore. He's just like my little emotional support buddy. But yeah, I would love to have like fighting pets and pets that like, there's something about like finding a really rare pet and being able to tame it that's like the one thing I feel like Final Fantasy is missing.
Well, I mean, the problem with that is the same reason they've talked about Beastmaster being another quote unquote limited job. Their pet AI in this game is not the greatest. That's why they took Summoner out of being a quote unquote pet class into what it is now.
Poor Carbuncle.
So,
damn it.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get a real quote unquote non-limited pet job, because for whatever reason they can't figure out how to make the pet AI work in this game. And I mean, to be fair, people still complain about the pet AI in World of Warcraft, so
Oh boy. I remember that. I remember the nickname for hunters that is not very PC. But I heard a lot.
Rhymes with Bard.
Yeah.
Rhymes with Bard.
To go back to your question, Ro, I think for me, it's I keep picking up and putting down the pre-Stormblood tribe quests. I don't know why, but every time I decide, all right, I'm gonna get through the Heavensward ones and do that allied beast tribe story, and then I'm gonna go back and do the Realm Reborn ones and get all of this done and get all the cool rewards from it. And for whatever reason, Stormblood is like my threshold for how much I'm willing to grind the tribal quests, because once I do the Heavensward ones for more than 2 days in a row, I'm like, and I'm done with this crap. I don't know what it is. The Stormblood ones, that they had 2 combat ones, and they don't give great XP on their own. But for some odd reason, I just found the stories engaging enough to push through it. The Heavensward ones, I don't know what it is. They're not terrible. I just lose interest after 2 days of just trying to do the dailies.
I feel like when I try to do dailies, I get World of Warcraft flashbacks. I get a little PTSD, and I'm like, no, you can't make me.
See, for the current expansion ones, they're great because they're very limited time. They're very not limited. They're very low amount of time to complete them. They try to group them together, which is one thing the Heavensward ones do not do. They take you all over the freaking massive zones. I mean, wow, brain work. Arca Sodara ones. Not only is Thavnair not really all that huge that you can't traverse it very quickly, there's 3 teleport points, and they generally try to group the 3 quests they give you into relatively close to the same area. And you get about maybe anywhere from a third to half a level in a day just on whatever you feel like leveling. It's a great, time investment.
Well, so I could go do this on my what level do you have to be to do them at all? Is it 80?
80.
Okay. Then I can do this on my, oh my god, Astrologian. Ugh. And not actually have to heal anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you feel like leveling without wanting to, jump into the duty finder, which I kind of burned myself out on, which is why I was so bloody excited for this patch. It's a great chunk of XP for very little time investment.
So when I boosted my RP character, I knew that I was going to want to do Dancer, which I forgot is 60 instead of 70, which was actually very low and kind of obnoxious to try and level to catch up. So I was like, I want to do a different role. What's a shiny one? I haven't done Astrologian. And then so I boosted Astrologian and then picked up Dancer, and then I'm looking at all the Astrologian buttons, and I'm just going cross-eyed, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Just all the different card actions, man. It's draw, redraw, undraw, fucking.
To be fair, they were a lot more consolidated in Shadowbringers, and the fact that they broke them out to separate buttons in Endwalker has been a bit of a source of consternation. Astrologian does have a button blow problem. When
I used, because I did Astrologian, oh god, must have been Stormblood, I guess. But it was literally one button, pull a card, press button again, spend card. And now it's pull card, and then oh god, all these buttons, and then it's a different button to spend the card. That is just wilding to me. And I'm also, I like to write mouse over macros for healing, and the thought of writing all of these fucking mouse over macros for all of these spells, I'm like, oh no. I'm going to be a click healer because Jesus Christ, you can't make me do this.
That is the other thing that I keep saying that I'll do but haven't gone around to doing is trying to play Scholar.
Scholar's fun, man. I like Scholar.
It's a good one.
Scholar's way simpler. Holy shit. It's the way I play it, I do click on fairy abilities generally, but everything else I can fit on the keyboard. But it's way less buttons, man. I would say my favorite healer, I think, is Sage. Because
I would agree with that, but that's more of an aesthetic thing than anything.
Well, I like barrier healers, and I think that Sage is just more dynamic to play right now. like with Scholar, you just kind of like you throw out a shield, and then you're just kind of like hitting one button to do damage and refreshing a dot, which I guess is kind of similar. But like Sage has a bunch of different stuff to do damage, and you're like trying to get your shields absorbed so you can get procs to do more damage, and it's like it's more engaging. And
Scholar
it's shinier.
sounds more my speed.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, but that's because I'm old and I want to do things simple.
It is simple, and you get to punch the ground.
I main a summoner. Come on, hello.
I would recommend it. It's fun. I don't know. I've never really had White Mage at max.
I have.
Like Ward's always like, it's the easiest one. Just do it, and I'm like, eh.
I don't agree with that.
It's the disc priest in me. I gotta have shields. That was my main for so long.
Your name was Shields?
Yeah, well, no, but I was a discipline priest in World of Warcraft raiding. I don't even remember what it was. It's not Savage raiding. What was it? Mythic raiding? Yeah. I did Mythic raiding until they broke it. I really enjoyed it when it was the like damage to heal thing, which is probably why I really like Sage now. But they like changed how all of that worked, and I was like, yeah.
I think they're bringing some of that back to discipline in the expansion with like the talent tree revamp and everything. But
I'm out. They can't get me back. I'm out. I'm not going back.
We'll see. We'll talk about that again in about a year.
They'll never take me alive.
For now, though, I think that's a good place to put things on hold and pause for a couple weeks here till we see what the live letter brings us and talk about how happy or sad we are about island sanctuaries. And I'm really crossing my fingers. If we can furnish island sanctuaries, then things are fine. If we find out that island sanctuaries are fairly limited, then oh man, I worry for Final Fantasy Reddit and Final Fantasy Twitter. I worry for us all. If island sanctuaries aren't small housing for everyone, just stay away from Final Fantasy social media for the next month.
Meanwhile, the those of us over here who don't give a crap about housing are just like, okay, yeah, what's happened with the MSQ?
I just know I'm gonna like it because I like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing and anything that lets me farm and have pets around. Ooh, that's I am talking mad shit for someone with a small house on Diablo.
I was gonna say you're only saying that because you already have a house.
My two mains already have houses, so I'm just sitting on my housing throne.
Yeah, I'm not jelly. No, not one bit, not whatsoever. Yep, I'll just be here in this one plot on Diablos, competing against 300 people for a $3 million small house.
Oh my god!
We'll see what happens.
I'm surprised you haven't come and just signed my guest book with fuck you. Although there were some salty guest book entries. Like when I first got it, people who had put bids in and came by, they're like, "Oh, I guess you got it. Congrats!" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna be murdered."
Well, somebody had to. What did you guys expect?
I would be more about. There's a guy next door to me who has done nothing with his. He just put a shell on it. The inside's empty. And I go in there and I'm like, this is a waste.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, Meagan, where can people find you on the internet?
On Twitter at Catmum Meagan. Meagan is spelled Meagan. There you can find links to my Tumblr, my art, and my webtoon, which is not updated in a very long time, and I'm sorry, but I will get to it soon.
Will you though?
I don't know. Shut up.
She threw out her back, Brandon. Come on, give her a break.
I know. It's Meagan. I can't help but tease her. It's too much fun.
And please buy her shorts. Brandon, where can people find you?
Twitter.com/the BMAT. There's a link aggregator, my bio.link page that'll take you to everything else I've got going on, including plus 5 to hit, where we'll soon be starting our Strixhaven campaign. And I cannot wait.
You can find me on Twitter at RowWCR. That's RHOWCR. This show is on Twitter at A Podcast Reborn, and you can email us at apodcastreborn@gmail.com. The theme for our show is Alex Moukala's Imagined Boss theme for Endwalker. Do check out his YouTube channel for more great music. A link to it can be found in the notes for this podcast, and that music, any other derivatives of Final Fantasy XIV music you hear on this podcast belongs to Square Enix. No copyright infringement is intended. That'll do it for us for the next couple weeks. Until next time, for Meagan, for Brandon, for Butterscotch and Ward, and all the crew, this is Brian Black reminding you, may your loot rolls be high, your glamour fantastic, and your duties always complete. Brandon.
Did you guys know that in ancient Etheris there was a really, really big problem with people who couldn't pay back loans on their mounts? So after she left the convocation, the Knot needed to make a living doing something, so she started her own repossession business. It was called Henceforth You Shall Walk.
Fucking God. How dare you?
What? What?
How dare you make fun of our crystal mom?
I literally did not make fun of her, okay?
Goodbye, everybody.
I got a much better reaction than I had hoped for.